Uh, Fawzan had his first solo show in 1992, and he's had 8 solos ever since. And he's also been part of about a dozen group shows. His work is part of a permanent collections of numerous national and international organizations, institutions, private collections. And I would very strongly recommend everyone to listen to his TEDx talk, which he gave in 2012. This is available on YouTube, so do search for it after this session, or while you're in lockdown. I think there's enough time for all of us. And what I personally felt is that he's really beautifully threaded his photographic and life journey into a splendid necklace of experiences, observations, and stories. And this is really a wonderful lesson on how each photograph matters, but when strung together, they matter even more. And for me, that really was a huge learning. Thank you, Fawzan. When I saw your talk and saw your work, it really is very impressive. If I may conclude my introduction by saying that Fawzan today is an organic farmer by choice and has always been an organic photographer by instinct. He's published 2 books already and is doing his 3rd one now. He will be talking about his learnings from the first 2 and the problems he's facing with publishing the 3rd one. Over to you, Fawzan. Thank you so much for the opportunity of introducing such a fine artist. And I now will shut up and listen to you. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Dinesh. Thanks, Dinesh. Okay, to begin with, let me introduce my family. My wife, Arwa. Please come here. Okay.
Hi.
My daughters.
Hi.
Marzia and Nabila.
Hi.
Okay. The reason I'm trying to introduce my wife and my kids is I have been fortunate enough that I've got 3 working women in my family. So now I can easily not bother about earning money as such, so they can take care of it and I can do a lot of pictures henceforth. Okay, now,
There we go.
Thank you. Okay, now, I had read somewhere that you get a birth certificate saying where you were born, and you get a death certificate where you died and when you died. A book is something that will tell you how well you lived. Okay, these 3 lines have really changed my perception about producing books for myself and for the coming generation. And with that thought, I want to take you back to 2010 when I was supposed to finish my 25 years in this profession. So the first thought came to me, and a cheaper thought was to do a show of my 25 years in the city of Bombay. I've been shooting Bombay for the last 25 years. And I thought, let me do a show. But, the galleries are not that big to put my 25 years of work together. The only option was either Jahangir, which is out of bounds, and which was NGMA, which anyway will not recognize me as a photographer in their scheme of things. So the only option left with me was to do a book. And it was a very wild idea. And I gave it a thought, can I do a book, And with that thought, I went about working backwards. When I say backwards, is you start with the costing part, Okay, how will I publish a book? No, not publish, but print a book, whatever. Now, the first thing obviously was for a photographer to go to a publisher, which I did. I went to a couple of publishers, and the publishers' game, as I understood, was never ever to encourage a young photographer or a photographer who's doing it for the first time. And they kept saying, oh, the market is bad, and this is like 10 years back almost. We cannot put a lot of investment, and it's really a bad scene, but still, you're a senior guy and we will try and work out something. And when it came to economics, they said at best we can give you is 1,50,000 for the book, okay, for the pictures in the book. I thought to myself, okay, I'm going to do 25 years of my book. Okay, can we have the pictures on there? In the meanwhile, while I'm talking, the pictures can roll down. Okay, so while talking, there would be some pictures which I'm going to show in the background. Okay, it's going to keep going on, and I'll keep talking about it. So I went around to 2-3 publishers, and at best I got an offer for 1,60,000. Now I said to myself that this is not going to work. If I'm going to put in my 25 years, I'm not going to let anybody make money out of it. So I decided to go self-publishing. Okay. And I realized the investment is huge in terms of printing a book. I got a very nice, friendly printer in Jack Printers who agreed to back my book in the sense that he would wait till I start making money out of the books. And we agreed that the first, any payment that would come from the book would first go to him, And I did that. What I did was I made a dummy first, and I went around showing it to all the corporates and all the friends in the corporates and anybody who would want a book for themselves. And what I promised them that on page 1, I would have the book logo or I'll have a personal message, and that will become personalized. I got a lot of orders. I printed 3,000 copies. I got orders almost for 1,600 books. And I went ahead and printed the book. Within 2 weeks, I recovered the printing cost, which was 36 lakhs. Okay. It was a 300-page book, and I recovered the cost. And I kept that book. And I eventually made, after paying 36 lakhs, I made another 39 lakhs on the book. I hope there's no income tax guys here. Okay, so now with that kind of money, I was very excited, and I realized if I had gone to the publisher, he would have made all the money. Okay, and I would have left with nothing but 1.5 lakh, at the most 1,60,000. So what I want to tell you is, if you guys are confident enough about doing your own book, and if you believe that your work needs to go out in the public, that's very important, because I'm sitting in on a huge collection of, millions of pictures, and I don't know what to do with it. So I'm trying to push this work in the market very gradually. So my Bombay book has 300, my Bollywood book has 300. I'm working on my third book, which is Kali Pili, about a taxi that we're looking at. Now, okay, somebody wants to go back to the third photo. I don't know. Okay. So where I was saying about the book part. Now, the biggest, I think Sony will agree with this. The biggest advantage of doing a book is to put your work in the market, provided there are corporates who will agree to buy your initial copies. If they are able to pick up your copies with a personalized message on the page 1, your biggest fear of printing is taken care. You can easily recover the printing cost, which is the major cost in the entire thing. And if that's taken care, and then you can keep getting checked every month from the bookstore. Now, printing a book is the easiest part. Distribution is another mafia, as I realized. No bookstore, not all the bookstores, will accept books from you directly. They want it to be channelized through a distributor. And a distributor and the bookstore have their own mafia. But then there are few bookstores who will encourage. Okay, one of them is Kitab Mahal, which was kind enough to accept my books without a distributor in place. All I have to, what does a distributor do basically? He takes the book from you, he gives to the bookstore, okay, and he will take 60% away from you. Okay, I didn't want to do that. I said I will offer a big discount to the bookstore. Okay, so we decided on a discount, and we got that. We worked that out. We cracked that. Mohan, there you are. Mohan, can you see yourself?
This is which one?
Ferrari.
Where am I? Ferrari ki side. Oh, I'm sitting right in the middle there in the beard. Okay.
Okay. So if you are able to crack the small thing where you can speak to the bookstore guys, and if you can convince them, okay, I will come and deliver books to you, which I did. So right now, I am the author, I am the publisher, I am the distributor, I am the salesman, I am the accountant, and I am the follow-up guy. I do all that, and I put my books out in the market. But at the end of it, I know I can keep track and I can keep count of every book in the market. The biggest fear that I have is my book should not be lying on the floor and be sold on by the kilos. So that's one thing, like I'm able to control that by having the whole thing in my hand, the whole distribution network in my hand. Okay, this is the story of my first book, which made quite a big success in terms of money and little bit name here and there. The second collection that I had was on Bollywood, because if you stay in Bombay, the three biggest B is the Bhelpuri, the business, and the Bollywood. And since I stay in Bombay and I have little access to Bollywood scene, I started working on the Bollywood book. Now, getting access to Bollywood is the biggest challenge. Okay, because first of all, a lot of production houses don't understand the concept of documenting. They consider you as another still dada. For them, images don't make much of a difference. Earlier, that there used to be a still dada, used to shoot continuity, but now continuity is gone. People shoot with the mobile. But the hierarchy of a still dada just comes above a spot dada, in terms of hierarchy. So getting an access to Bollywood was a big challenge, but still I kept persisting and I kept following it. And in the 12 to 13 years that I worked on this project, I was able to get access to 82 sets, and I worked on, I generally worked through the contacts, through reference, through contacts, and got the book across. Okay, now silver screen, I have still not made any profit. Okay, but I've almost covered my costing part. I'm still waiting. I'm still getting checks on and off, but it's still there. The title is there out in the market. So we will now see some. This is still the Bombay series, which I'm showing to you guys, and Bollywood will follow. Okay, so in case Dinesh, if you want to talk about something in between while the pictures are being shown, we can still do that.
Or is that okay with you if I do ask questions in between?
Yeah, it will. Through your question, there will be more coming out from you.
Oh, okay, all right. One of the things, may I ask a question now? If you could just mention the year in which the first book was published and how long
it was published in 2012.
And how long were you working on that book? And did you think of it consciously as a book while you were working on it?
No. This was basically 25 years of my work. When I wanted to do a show, I wanted to show my work of my being in the city of Bombay for 25 years. Okay. And initially, I never thought about the book. But yes, then when I realized that putting up a show was not possible, so the next best option available to me was to do a book. So it wasn't thought when I started working on it. I just started collecting images like any other photographer would do. And eventually, I realized that I'm sitting on a huge collection of the city, and let me put it all together. And that's how the book thing came out eventually.
Okay, and you did initially think that you would go to a publisher, and it's the disappointment of the kind of response you got from them, which made you, to my mind, make you almost a pioneer of self-publishing.
Yeah,
all the way to 2010-11. It's seen as the hot thing today, but it definitely wasn't something which people thought of doing then. So you really are one of the pioneers, I would say.
Excuse me, I published mine in 1999.
Wow.
Sorry, Sony.
I had 2 editions. One was in 2000 and the second edition was in 2004.
Okay, so you did self-publish your books too?
Of course.
Okay, all right. Sorry about that.
And Sony also had a target who picked up the book. Correct?
Sorry?
A corporate who picked up your books, correct?
Who picked up my book? I self-published it.
No. I'm saying you have corporates, you have community leaders who would pick up your books. Pre-order.
Yes, I published it with pre-orders, the first one, yeah.
Yeah. I think that is the catch. If you're able to crack that, I think you could easily cover the cost of printing, at least, if nothing else. And then you can sit, relax, and make money eventually as and when.
I don't think you can ever sit and relax, but yes, you can recover your money.
Yeah, the whole idea is to recover your money. That's it. Even if you don't make money, at least you
Yeah,
recover the cost.
but
Yeah.
Fawzan, you missed the biggest handicap in self-publishing, which is storage of books, because that
No, no,
is
well, no, there's no issues on that. No? If you know how much you're going to sell to the corporate, you print 200-300 books extra. That's it.
the way I did it. Sorry, you go ahead. This is your talk.
No, 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 no. Let's say something. Let me hear from you, because we might just share each other's experience on this, because
Yeah,
the whole idea is about.
I was not able to print according to. So if I had an order of one book, I could not print one book. I had to print all of them all together. So
Yeah.
I printed 5,000 books initially. I sold half of them on pre-order, and the other half I still had to store and provide to bookstores and to distributors. So that storage was my biggest problem, and I stored them in actually Parsi lying in hospital, which had no babies but which had my books.
Oh. Okay. So in my case, that wasn't the case, because I only published around 3,000 copies, for which I already had orders of 1,800.
Yeah,
And even within, I kept the books at the printer itself, and very soon I was able to sell 2,600 books in a matter of 1 month.
that's
So
great.
I wasn't stuck with this storage
Yeah.
issue at all. Yeah, you're right. In case if you go and print huge numbers without having a confirmed sale, then you might have to have a storage place, which is a very expensive position in Bombay.
Okay,
Yeah.
I would want to come back to that, but there's another question I just wanted to ask related to the fact that you self-published one. To a large part of the confidence you got to self-publish came from being able to pre-sell. Now, pre-sell obviously means you have a customer, all right? Did this customer, since the book wasn't printed yet, and you were offering it to them almost as a gift they could in turn give to, whoever they'd
No, no,
want,
no, no. Dinesh,
in any way
when
they
you
try
go,
to influence you in terms of content, in terms of the edit, in terms of titles? Were there any
no,
interference? Was
no. What I did was I made a dummy offset, not offset, digital dummy.
okay?
Okay, which would look exactly like my book.
What the final book
Okay,
would be? Hmm.
that was final book with minor changes here and there, but 99.9% it would look like that. There, I left a blank page in the dummy book, trying to tell them this is your page, where you would be able to print your company logo, your message, whatever you want. It's your page. Okay. When that page was blank, left blank, and rest of the book would look like this. Okay. It was like a dummy was looking like a book. And I left the book with them, and they would go through it maybe a day or two, a week later, they would get back to me placing an order. So you need to make a complete dummy. You can't just go and talk about it. You need to show them the content. And the dummy is anyway going to cost you, I think, 4 lakh rupees, with the layout and design and one page offset digital printing and all that. But that is what going to get you the order.
Okay, and just to go back to try and explain my question a bit more, you never got a sense from any of these people who did give you the orders that they would have preferred if some pictures were not there, if the content was marginally changed, or did anyone come back and say, because I've heard this comment from other photographers, that I wish only if your book was, or your content was more positive about the subject, then we would be interested. Did you ever face that kind of
Yeah.
issue?
Two groups, if I'm allowed to name them. One was Hindujas, who were very interested in buying the book, but they wanted me to put in a lot of pictures of the trust. All the trust, all the SCSR and all that they're doing in Bombay. They wanted to include those pictures. So I said, if it doesn't fit into the scheme of Bombay, and they were willing to buy a huge bulk order, provided I would give them 7 to 8 pages about their own trust and their own work and their own hospital and all that, etc. So which obviously would have diluted my entire book. So I refused on that. Tipla, they also wanted some pictures out of the book, because they have the international market. So they wanted to make Bombay look only happy. the positive Bombay. They didn't want any negative in the Bombay. But again, I had to decline that offer also, because I said no. This is what it's going to be. I can only include your page, but I can't take away anything from it. So I must have lost around 600 to 800 copies on that.
No, that's something which I've heard, and I would imagine can be a bit of a problem for anyone who's self-publishing. The point Sony made about keeping the large quantities, to the fact that you carry on.
Yeah.
Was that signal to me, Devang?
No.
No.
I heard a bell.
Devang, can you start the Bollywood book, please?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Dinesh.
Before you start on this, related to this, I just wanted to ask you one question. Your earlier book, the first book, was based on your journey, let's say, of 20-25 years, and how you'd been experiencing various subjects and experiencing photography. But was this book something which you deliberately said, this is a subject I'm choosing, and I would want to now go and photograph this for a book? Was there that difference?
See, you're talking about the Bombay book, correct? And
so the Bombay book, you said you had not thought of it as a book first, and for many years you were photographing your city.
Correct. With the Bollywood book, I had not much choice. I would just, whoever allows me to be on the set, I would go.
What I meant was, did you start off thinking of it as a book project, or was it still that you just wanted
to... The Bollywood first happened. No, Bollywood first happened at a show, okay, an exhibition, and it became a traveling exhibition with Tasveer. And let me tell you, I didn't make money. I haven't made money on Bollywood book as of now. But Tasveer was able to sell my Bollywood work. We made almost...
Through the exhibition.
Through the exhibition, through sales of prints, we made 40 to 43 lakhs by selling the prints of Bollywood to people. Mm-hmm. As a print, as an edition, they sold it as an edition,
Okay.
And though Bollywood didn't make me money on the book part, but I made money on the prints. So overall, I haven't lost money on that.
All right, carry on, please.
Yeah, so I'm saying, see, and personally, I don't take up any project keeping the finances in mind. I just do it. And I'm a very bad businessman, you can say, but it's more, and when I quit my job in 2006, my wife said, I'll take care of the house. You can do whatever you want, because I've already worked for 21 years and I ran the home. Now it's her turn to do that. And I really had a huge support from her to do what I want to do. So that's how it is working out, So now I'm just working on projects which I feel like right now I'm shooting Bombay City, the isolation of Bombay City, which again I think is a brilliant book subject, because for the generation to come, they would have never seen Bombay this isolated. So every 3 days I step out, do some pictures, check myself if I've got diarrhea, if I've got running nose, if I've got cough. If I'm okay, then on the 3rd day or the 4th day, again I go out and shoot one full day. So that's how I'm doing, and I think it's a brilliant subject, again, as I see, just to shoot the Bombay without a car, without any cars on the road. So I just want to leave something behind for the next generation, and that's what I want to do. So this is in the background, what you're seeing is all my work on Bollywood. And it wasn't planned, it was just looking at Bollywood the way I would look as an outside photographer. Okay. Because a still Dada is on a job there. I wasn't. So I would make pictures what appealed to me and what made me, most of the thing was very funny to me, but I would still shoot them, So it was no fixed agenda where I was on the fence.
You weren't doing stills for a particular film, you were doing stills about the life in Bollywood. That's
life in Bollywood.
It's just really your commentary on Bollywood rather than about the film.
Yeah, nothing on the film, because I would at the most spend 2-3 days, if I'm allowed to, on one particular film and move on to the next. So it was like jumping from this set to this set.
And did you manage to get good corporate support for this book too?
No.
Did you think of a different kind of corporate for this book, since the subject was somewhat different from your earlier book?
Yeah. So what happened is all the corporate who took my Bombay book, okay, they half of them didn't pick up the Bollywood book.
They did, half
Okay.
of them.
So half of them didn't pick up the Bollywood book because they thought Bollywood is, it doesn't go with the image, we don't want Bollywood types, But when I told them I'm going to do my third book now that I'm telling them, they are excited about it. Okay. But just the market is such, which I'm going to talk about now. Okay. I've been struggling for last 1 year now because I wanted to launch the book last year. Okay. And I've been talking to them, although I've not had the money to make dummy as of now. I don't want to invest it right now. I want to understand the mood. The mood it's not a very happy mood as such.
Not a very
The economic
positive mood currently, yes.
correct. This was before Corona. Corona now has really screwed up everything now. So I'm talking about last year when I was trying to speak to a lot of people and they would say, okay, nobody has said no to me. Okay, they just said, हाँ देखते ना करते ना, we'll meet up ना. तो समझ में आ जाता है कि they are trying to just take it easy type. Okay, there's no pre-orders coming as such. They're just saying, let's defer it for a month. Let's defer it after Diwali. Let's look at next year. So you kind of get message ke, okay, it's not going to happen this year. Okay, so I'm going to now hopefully pitch in. If everything goes well in the next 3-4 months, if the economy is on the roll, then I would again try and go back to them and start talking to them.
Just a wild thought that considering you have this experience of already having self-published and distributed and marketed 2 books, and I would imagine a couple of other photographers, whether in Bombay or around the country, who've done the same. Do you think there's a possibility that there's a collective is formed so that people are able to share the burden and the benefits, both of the experience and the fact that you are able to share resources? Do you think that can happen in the future, considering things are getting so much tougher now? Not to publish a book, it probably is getting easier to publish it because printing is easier. You can do digital printing and not have to do 5,000 or 3,000 copies. You could well do 5 copies at a time. Do you think there's a future for kind of a collective?
It's a very good suggestion, Dinesh. But the subjects vary, and okay, what I'm going to show, what you guys are seeing is it's a Beyond series. Dinesh. I just want to tell the people.
Sure.
Okay, this is looking at Bollywood beyond sets. I have traveled all over India, and I've got this amazing pictures about influence of Bollywood beyond the sets. So you're just going to see that in the background. Okay, now coming back to your question, I wanted to understand. We all are working on different subjects as such. So and all these corporates are through personal contacts. And they will, either they want to oblige you or they really like your work or they think they could use me in some way in future projects or something. So they oblige you. But how this collective will work, I would really need to understand. And it's worth a suggestion which can be considered, which can be looked into. But my fear is, this book publishing is going to die down very soon.
That's the next question I wanted to ask you, really, if I may PM that. I get a sense, one, having been a photographer for so long, 2, teaching young people, that for my generation or our generation, photography was a paper medium and we transited to the digital stroke screen medium. But I have a feeling that already there's a generation which is entirely sees photography as a screen medium. And things like books, not that they don't respect them, it's just that उनकी ज़हन भी नहीं आती है. Website है या blog है या e-zine है, that seems to be really the form or the format which they're familiar with and are veering towards. And the printed book, even though, like I said, physically and monetarily, it's probably easier to produce today. But that shift to the screen as the medium for photography seems to have happened almost entirely. So in that situation, what would you think for your third book? Would you consider it as an ebook? Would you put, instead of printing copies and trying to get, more corporate funding for it? I mean, are you considering that too, or maybe a mix of the two?
See, I'm never a digital man to begin with.
I know. I can understand that.
yeah, I can't figure out how to work on Facebook, or I don't have an Insta account and all that. I still, I maybe belong to the old school of thought, and I still feel the power of a paper is far than a digital. And I feel a book on a table or a book on a shelf has more life than anything else. So I would still push, and I would still want to do books. But as you say, okay, the new generation may not adapt to that, what our feelings are. So I seriously think it's not going to work out in the future. Publishing of books is not going to work out, especially because photo books are very expensive to produce. So one sec. So that is a big question mark, and I can give one example. After I published my Bombay book in 2012, we are in 2020. There's not a single book on Bombay after that. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so I really don't know whether somebody's going to do another book on Bombay, because Bombay is ever changing. From the time I published book and from the time now I go to shoot pictures, I could possibly bring another edition of Bombay. Because there's so much there which has
Also,
changed
and
in the last 8 years.
your engagement with the city continues both as a photographer and as a person who lives there. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. I still go, and my wife keeps wondering, okay, what am I doing? Every Ganesh I'm going to go and shoot, and every
Mm-hmm.
festival I'm going to shoot. What am I doing, and why am I doing it for now? Since Bombay is already out. But I haven't given up doing pictures as of now. I still hope, okay, there is a big order on Bombay. Tomorrow if somebody wants some 500 copies out of Bombay, I can always squeeze in this new edition pictures in that. Okay, so that's the little lalach hai कि chalo, let's do some more pictures. If at all some order comes, a bulk order comes, I can always replace some old pictures with a new one. So the work continues. Whether the next Bombay book comes or no, I don't know. But one has to keep going. Yeah. Because what else are we doing? We are doing nothing. I'm doing nothing except for farming and photography. I have nothing else to do. So I might as well continue shooting.
No, that is something you will do, but I would think as a photographer, as any creative person, as Bowman would also say, uh, your audience is as much a part of you, or you owe it to them to reach them, to be able to then communicate with you by responding to your work. And I feel that people need to be, looking at the kind of media or medium in which people respond or engage. Just to, if I may, think of the timeline. For instance, if even with photography books in the 90s or the 80s, you had to go to a publisher because of the publisher was the only one who had access, one, to money, to printing, and to distribution. Then things changed once it became digital. So one could control the printing part of it. So for instance, you could go and self-publish. So that's the next phase which happened. So you took away the power of the publisher and you took it in your own hands. Now, in the recent, I would think, the 5-7 years, like I said, the medium itself is changing of engaging with the image. So therefore, do we as photographers need to be sensitive to that the audience has gone somewhere, or हम अभी कहीं और नाच रहे हैं. I'm talking from that point of view.
Now,
And the reason I'm asking this question is I'm not trying to put you in a spot. I have a book which I want to do. I've got, 12 years of worth of work out of Varanasi, which I'm now wondering in what form do I put it out? As an ebook, a printed book, a print on order book, it's a, and I'm sure in this audience of more than 100 people and across Facebook, hopefully a couple of hundred more, there are quite a few people who would be, thinking of doing a body of work and turning it into something in a form which can be shared. So that's why I wanted your view on that.
see, if you're asking my personal opinion, I would still do a book, but I would only now venture out on orders. Okay, because I don't want to burn a hole in my pocket. I would certainly make a dummy. That's an investment that I would do. Make a dummy, go around asking people, and if I get a nice feedback in terms of number of copies ordered, I would print 200-300 extra and leave it. Okay, but I will not blindly go and publish a book without knowing where I'm going to sell. You know, so if you're assured, what do they corporate do? Basically, like for example, BNP Paribas, they took 200 copies from me. They're a French bank. And I asked them, I asked the CEO, what are you going to do with this Bombay book? He said, we're going to give it to all the people who come to Bombay as a return gift. All the international. I said, wow, that's nice. So every client has his own need to distribute the books, and books is something you gift it. A lot of people don't accept gift, but books nobody refuses. So in a way, I feel I would go to. Still, I would go. There's no ego as such, but I feel personally for me, a book, because all my life I've only seen books, and I still, I die to read books and I die to see books. For me, it's my personal choice that I don't go digital.
That's something which is your passion, really.
So I still have.
Vinay and Devang, if I may have one more question and then we open it up to the audience. Is that okay?
Sure. No, Fawzan is still not.
There's still one more presentation.
Fawzan, you want to talk about your trip?
Yeah, Devang, can you start my taxi project?
I'd like to say something if I may.
Sure.
Vinay, that we missed out on the entire Bollywood section of films of pictures, which is so very interesting, and we did not get into the mind of the photographer. And I thought that we missed out on something over there. So I think we should talk. We'd like to know about what you were thinking while doing these beautiful pictures, Fawzan, really.
Yeah.
So if we can spend a little time on your thought, what you're thinking.
Can we see the picture again too?
Yeah, we can show the pictures again. And
just let's run through it. I missed out a lot. I love the Bollywood series very, very much.
Fawzan sir, shall we?
Yeah, he's biased. He wants to see only Bollywood.
No. Yeah, okay, bias. Chalo, theek hai.
No, that bias is worth.
Bias, yeah.
That's a worthwhile bias.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see that. Let's see that, and then we can.
Let's run. Just a little feel, so beautifully you've observed it from an outsider's point of view,
Is this visible?
Yeah, very much.
All right, great. Okay.
That's the entrance to the film city.
Dev Saab.
Yes.
Am I right? In the rap song that he did for Mr. Prime Minister. I was in that movie. Yeah. Fawzan, if you could just give us quick commentary, a line here and line there while it's by passing by.
Mr. Prime Minister Devanand, and this is Hema.
Yeah.
This is a Ramesh movie, Masala something, that Shimla Mirchi or something like that. And you just got the whole idea about driving a two-wheeler, and this is like a helping hand on the sets while the girls are being photographed in a skimpy clothes, having a This is how a waterfall is made to look on the big screen, with the help of distillery water. Again, on the set of Pop. This is, that she was working in that the Shadi some movie, along with Farhan Akhtar. I don't remember the movie name.
I love this image very much.
This is again same movie, Farhan Akhtar.
Movie में ये डोरी दिखाई नहीं देती है. It's so interesting to see that it's actually a dory on both sides.
The dory will be, that in a Photoshop they'll take it off.
Was it Shadi ke side effects? I think.
Something like that. Correct.
Very nice.
This was again
Beautiful.
This was looking from the other side,
So many things going on.
Yeah.
The more you look at it, the more you see. Lovely, Fawzan, right?
Thanks. This was like, all this in Mehboob Studios.
Mehboob, yeah.
Foreign extras, This guy was happily clicking and then the object. the whole
Lovely.
drama that in taking a shot, the whole jing bang.
Tam Jam.
Calm down.
Tam Jam.
Yeah, it was in Vasai Fort.
Very nice movie.
Lovely.
Lovely. Also,
This was Savari, if I'm not mistaken. Go back. Yeah, Bowman, this was Ferrari Ki Savari.
okay. I'm lying inside, I think.
No, you're not there. This was in the GPO. They were shooting a hospital scene. No.
Correct.
Yeah, it was one of GPO. Yeah. It was
Okay.
late night and everybody was tired, They all went to sleep.
This is also lovely.
There was a glamour shot. Mission Istanbul, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm.
Fawzan, if I may, I just read a question. Someone was asking if you had to take very special permissions, and is there a question about the
Yeah.
type
You
of photographs
have to take
you use in your book?
permission. No. So when I took permission, I could either take it from the production house or the director. Okay. This was Munna Bhai.
Acha, must be the second Munna Bhai.
No, the first one, the hospital one.
Really? Oh, really? Okay.
This was JJ. So I need to take
lovely.
permission, and I have to tell them that this is going to be my copyright, and I'm going to use it only for the book purpose and the promotion. And after the release of the movie, I would use it commercially.
Lovely.
So till the not released, I cannot release this picture. That was the undertaking to give them.
This is my favorite picture.
Okay, lunchtime. This is a wedding scene that was being filmed at Mud Island. And the children were involved in that. This was again Dev at Haji Ali.
Lovely.
This is a mass marriage scene, where they are checking each other's partners.
This is a brilliant image.
Ferrari Ki Savari, is it? Yes.
Yes.
That's
I like the
Sachin's
look
Ferrari. Sorry, say that again, sir.
I like the look of that guy. He's checking his over the marriage.
Who's inside the car?
Another side actor who's getting married in the shot.
Dula.
Dula.
The driver's invisible.
The idea was
I was not there.
The idea in this shot, since I was in the film, I can fill in there. That the car was not to be exposed. We did not anyone to know that it was a stolen Ferrari. So they went and covered it with flowers just so that nobody knows that there's a stolen Ferrari over there. The idea is behind that. And they also wanted to show off that it's a Ferrari. So they in a catch-22 situation. We drove a Ferrari for the wedding, but we had to cover it with flowers so that nobody knew it was a Ferrari. That was the idea. Wonderful.
Lovely.
Fawzan.
This is the Beyond series. I really enjoyed working on the series more than the sets. And how they use Bollywood characters either to enhance their business or to attract the customers. This is Vinay's Gaon, Ahmedabad.
Yeah, you still owe me the payment when I was assisting you during the book.
Wonderful images.
All the three Khans on the kite.
Love this one.
Dadi Wala Beauty Salon. This was like amazing.
If I am not wrong, that image of Amitabh Bachchan is our dear friend Swapal Parekh's from the Read and Trailer campaign that it shot.
Awesome.
Okay.
If I'm not wrong.
Okay. This was in Madhubani. The whole. Just go back. This guy had access to. Just go back for a minute. This guy had an access to all the posters. So what he would do is every week he would come and paste one poster in his shop. So the whole shop was full of Bollywood posters, old, new, and all that.
Poster wallpaper, lovely.
Poster. And the time that I had gone, Chandni Chowk to China was the latest movie release. So that was in the front. Then it would go back.
The latest film would be on the main.
On the main, yeah.
It was a very popular. While you're on this, there's a question from Anjuman. Your images are like wonderful stories, but could you please share your thought process? What did you want to click the image? What made it special for you? And what were you looking for in the frame? I think that would be very relevant.
That's what I was asking for.
Yeah. I was looking for that quirky movement, basically. Like this image behind a PST pass. The whole, there's a window which exactly comes to the bust of that Malika Sherawat. And it seems that as if everybody is jumping onto her breast, So you're looking for that quirky movement in that picture,
Sure.
Like this Mela, where they are inviting people to come and check some cobra, in the part of the Mela. And then they have this Priyanka's picture pasted on it, painted on it rather. So I'm looking for these quirky moments where they're using Bollywood to entice the customers to come into them. Now this was shot in Calcutta, where around the balloons you have all the actresses, So you just invite people through the color, So different people are using Bollywood in their own different way. And I was just documenting that aspect of the glamour quotient in that image.
And I was brought into real life, even if it's not connected really.
Yeah.
Another observation is that those people who make those posters, now they've dwindled, isn't it? Now that whole art making Bollywood actors ke posters, they come out of Sivakashi, I remember.
Okay, this picture was shot in Bastar, where I stopped at Dhaba, and there I realized the toilets are posters of Amitabh and Aishwarya, where she and James, So these are the like quirky things, I was looking at.
Very nice image.
Yeah, sorry, you were saying about the poster guys, no?
Yeah, those posters a thing of the past, no? Or are they still being made?
No, a couple of them are still painting. There are one guy in Kamadipura who still does it.
Oh yeah.
Not hand painted.
Art Home. There was a guy. Art Home used to always sign under the poster. ARTHOME.
No.
They painted posters and hoarding, but
Yeah.
printed posters were made a lot in Sivakasi earlier. I think now they printed all over the place.
They used to come to us to ask for photos of actors and actresses from Bollywood. And they would come
Malika
to
on the
transparencies.
This Gujarat has this tradition of putting actresses on the side of the rickshaw,
Auto rickshaw.
This is a tailor in Kamadipura.
What a simple, nice portrait.
I know.
So these are from your third book?
No. Third book I'm going to show now.
Okay.
Devang, can we see the taxi? Simple? So this is still a raw form. I haven't made a dummy as such because till I don't get a positive vibe, I'm not going to pump in another 3-4 lakhs. So it's a little question mark because I'm not getting the right vibe as of now. In fact, I'm trying from last 1 year. So let's see the pictures and hopefully if things improve, maybe, or maybe I may just print 100 to 300 to 500 copies and put in the market. Still a question mark on myself. This Kalipili is a taxi project which I've been shooting for last 4 years, and this inspiration came from a book which I've seen of Raghuveer Singh on Ambassador.
Right. Yeah.
Sorry.
Way into India.
Yeah. So it's like when I saw that book, I said I can do a similar thing on taxis in Bombay because India had only 2 cars. So I've started shooting them. So now I'm already ready with a collection of another 200 odd pictures on taxis in Bombay. So this is just a small glimpse on. Okay, you can't see the taxi here, but there's a in the mirror reflection. There's one more taxi here.
Hmm.
So now Bombay doesn't have, apart from some 80 taxis of this kind, and this 2020 would be the last year they would be allowed to fly on the road. After that, they would be off the road because their time is over. So I have been,
Wow.
I keep shooting it still until 2020. Hopefully this year or maybe next year I'll come out with a book. So we have almost lost Premier Padmini ever. So this book will, because I have grown. In fact, my dad sold a first car, Morris, way back in 1968, saying he couldn't handle the traffic then. So, I have grown virtually in that Premier Padmini, traveling from every corner in Bombay. So for me, it was my second home. Till Maruti and this thing came in.
And how long have you been working on this project?
This is the 14th year.
Okay.
But it's not like I maybe once in a week I will step out and stand at a place in Bombay and wait for the taxis. It's a very relaxed project that I've done. There's no rush, there's no hurry. And even now I go out and look at Premier Padmini whenever I feel like stepping out,
Right.
And
would you be working on a number of projects at the same time, or do you kind of focus?
Yeah, there's one more project which I'm working on.
Working over 10 or 12 years on one.
Yeah. I would do that. So another project which is almost ready for me is my images of sari. People, women wearing sari, because sari is one fabric which connects entire India. But of course, they are women in a different form and in different ways. But again, I've shot a lot of images of women wearing saris, and that project is also, I would say, not almost ready, but kind of ready. But maybe after the taxi scene through, I will work. I have worked for another year or two on the sari, and hopefully, maybe I can see. Sari may also have a good potential of corporate buying.
Getting corporate support for that, yes.
Yeah. So now, one more thing that I've started looking at after Bollywood wasn't picked up by corporates is what is a subject that would appeal to them. Subconsciously, you want to work on subject that would appeal to them. So I keep talking to them, okay, what would you want to see? What would you want to have a look at book on? And they keep giving you feedback as and when they can. So you start thinking, oh, this I already have big pictures on this project. Like, can I start working, or can I finish this project? So that's how, subconsciously they are influencing your subject. That what can work for them.
That's what I felt. There is a communication there, the to and fro. And I think it can be positive. It's not always negative. It's after all.
No. It is a positive, because they are only looking at from their point of view. Like, Sipla didn't want any negative pictures in the book, which is, in Bombay, you cannot have all positive pictures.
True.
Then I have to go shoot the aerial pictures. So you have to draw a line somewhere. I will have to do this and I cannot do this. So you give up one client if somebody doesn't want it that way. And what Rustamji did was very interesting. I had a jacket, jacket cover. So they took 200 copies from me to Rustamji builders, and they retained the picture on the jacket, but inside the jacket they put their managing director's message and all that. So the book remained the same. The jacket changed for them. So as soon as you open the book, you have a managing director's message. On the back, you have a company profile. Only in the inside part of the jacket. The rest, the book was completely the same. So people are also suggesting things which don't compromise on my book. So I was willing to retain the front page of the picture and the back page of the book. In between, on the flap, they wanted something different. I said, yeah, we can go ahead. No issue.
So that's an interesting observation. The fact that you get feedback from the corporates in terms of the kind of subjects you could be working on. The other, if I was to go back to still holding on to it as your own pure project, one possibility is towards ebooks. The other thing which has happened in the recent few years is that instead of large photo books, there's a tendency for them to be smaller, as Raj very rightly has pointed out in a comment here. And the other, which I found through Delhi Photo Festival, for instance, and we had a special section for that, are handmade books. Which are virtually like art pieces in themselves, where the numbers don't matter, but the content and the concept matters a great deal. So what would you say about that?
See, handmade books, what is the quantum of publishing that you do?
Very little.
Maybe 2 or 3 books?
Well, in some cases more, but...
More, Fawzan.
Achha.
Maybe around 100, 200.
But then how can you qualify that as a handmade book?
They could still be made by hand.
People do it.
No, because the three photographers that I met and spoke to, they had 3 copies made. Only 3 copies made.
They go up to from 3 copy to 10 copies, 15 copies, 20 copies. I know a photographer who had done 100 copies.
Handmade 100 copies.
Malaysian photographer.
Yeah. It's again, the fundamental is the same about making one dummy, which in their case, instead of going to a corporate, they're probably going to a photo festival. Or they're probably taking it to a gallery who might be interested in doing a show, a book.
But it's a very rare, honestly, it's a very rare.
No, but no, what I'm trying to get at is that these are the avenues, because there are a few comments I was reading in the chat box here, where people are wondering that, for instance, if you were not to find corporates, or you didn't have access to corporates for people buying, but I'm still passionate about a certain subject which I want to photograph extensively and present that in a book form. So what are the avenues for me then?
Okay. So like this, if you can speak to bookshops, in your locality, in and around, and if they're willing to keep your books, I think you're sorted. I feel even if you publish 100 books, and if they're willing to keep 10 on a monthly basis or 5 on a monthly basis, because my books are very bulky. So I've got 2-3 bookstores which take 5 every 2 months. And because they occupy space, because it's a huge 300-page book, so they can't keep more. But if you have a smaller book, I'm sure they could be able to do it. So I'm saying if you are able to convince the bookstore, you can make a small number and go and tell them to please keep it, because handbooks, because I haven't met anybody who has made a number of copies, but I spoke to 2 photographers, one did 3 books and one did 5 books. So I said, how is it going to help them, It's not going to help them viably. So maybe this, if they make more copies of that and maybe put it on across the, in fact, another selling point could be online, I have not done it, but I'm sure online people do sell, and also there's something called crowdfunding, if you can have somebody helping you before the publishing, if they can book a copy before that, and I know quite a few people are doing that. That is also a good way of, selling the book before you make it.
Yeah.
But this is...
Saurabh wants to say something.
Yeah, Fawzan, actually, after buying 2 of your books, I have both the books, Silver Screen and Between Mumbai to Bombay. So I did not know before buying the book that it was self-published. So I got the books, and I remember you came to my office in Surat while you were shooting some of the documentary, right? So that day you said that you published it by your own, and then only I self-published my book called Visual Poetries. I showed you the dummy also.
Yes.
And the only platform I am selling my book is my own website.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and I have sold some 800 copies.
Wow. But let me tell you also, Amazon and Flipkart, I've been able to sell a dozen books on Amazon and 2 or 3 on Flipkart. So it's not rocking on the online thing and on these portals. Between the 2 of them, I must have sold around 15 copies at the most. But
on Amazon, I have sold only 2 copies.
Well, I have sold almost 70 copies of Roznama on Amazon.
Wow.
Oh, great.
And one thing, it's not a bulky book, it's a small book. People can afford that kind of book. So that also depends.
We used to sell the Nazar monographs also on the Amazon platform. And 2 of the titles did very well on that, actually. The Gandhi book and one other. If I may just, I'm looking at the chat box, there's a question from Himanshu Panchal. Have you considered print on demand? Per unit costs may go higher, but print run can be as small as 10 copies. Because that really is the way to go at the moment if you're not to worry about inventory if you're not to worry about, sticking too much money into a large number at the moment. So instead of going offset, you go, digital and only print a small number.
Yeah.
If you don't have
You can do
corporate
that.
support.
Correct. That's the way going. If you can on order make small copies, and you can do that. That's another. But only thing is, in offset, the advantage is if you do a big number, the cost comes down.
Cost comes down.
Yeah.
What about
So
quality?
that's
Do you find the quality is now comparable, or
absolutely comparable?
there's no
Absolutely comparable.
Yeah, it's very
There's
good.
no difference. In fact, I would say digital will have an edge.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because
Especially
my dummy of both my books look far better than the offset book.
Oh my God.
Because the digital dummy was looking far better because you had a total control. Offset, there's not much control in terms of, because they do CMYK. I don't understand all the
CMYK and opposite pages matters a lot. Pages opposite to each other matters a lot. So you can't.
Okay, so whatever, but I still find my dummy looking far better in terms of colors and saturation vis-a-vis offset. So quality should not be an issue at all. Absolutely no problem.
If I may just go back to the admin, Devang, would you want people who are asking questions to come online?
Yeah. So the way it works, Dinesh, is the question that you pick, we will be getting the people online. You just need to announce the names. So there's a question by Raj right now. So if I'm just getting Raj, could you come?
Raj and then Homiyar Tawadia.
Yeah, we'll start getting people online, and then we need to answer a few questions on emails, if that's okay with you, Fawzan.
Sure, of course.
Yeah, Raj, are you there?
Yes, I'm. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Unlike Bowman, I have all the time in the world.
Okay, wait. Sorry. I've been covering the camera. Such an amateur. 1 second. Am I loud and clear?
Yeah, I can hear.
You can be heard. Yeah.
Hi, Fawzan. Can you speak of your years as a photojournalist and how they influenced you in terms of thinking of the kind of stories you think of? In terms of how you decide which project you want to work on.
Okay. See, when I was working, I had 2 jobs for my 21 years of career. 13 years with Day Today and 8 years with Midday for my 21 years. At that point of time, I had not much choice. But if you check my TEDx talk, you'll get an idea why I worked on certain subjects. Like for 2 examples that I can give you is, I got married in a mass marriage. Okay, I started looking at mass marriage all around India, and I started shooting it. Okay. So that subject came to my. In fact, all my subject came to me through my personal experience. Like I started shooting trains because after marriage, the only home we could afford was in suburbs. So we started staying in Goregaon, and I started traveling in train, which me and my wife had never ever done. Okay, so we for 13 years, like how Ram was Banwas, me and my wife were Banwas to Goregaon. Okay, and I started shooting trains. I started traveling in trains. I started shooting trains, and I made a subject out of trains, and I did an exhibition on trains. Bombay's Lifeline tracks. That was my subject of the show for my exhibition. Now, these are all personal experiences. Like when I turned 40, people started saying, "Tu yaar Hajj waj kar le, bahut umar ho gaya abhi." So I started questioning the question of faith. What is faith? And I started looking at faith, and I started shooting faith. So all these subjects were only what I experienced myself. So that I haven't got any subject outside. The last subject that I worked on was when my girls became teens and they wanted to go for vaccine. So and then they said, "Dad, we can't step out in skirts because we need vaccine." And I realized, yes, this the girls' legs are so important, and I started shooting legs. So on the TEDx, you'll find all these subjects which I worked on only because it was touching me.
For anyone who's not seen Fawzan's TEDx talk, I did, and I saw it twice over the last 2 days. It is really engaging, and it really talks so beautifully about his experiences have turned into photographic projects and vice versa. And that's what I meant by a necklace, which is so beautifully strung of his photographs and his life. You must make a point.
I've just shared the link for everybody on the chat. If anybody wants to see it later, I've just put it on.
That'd be wonderful. That'd be wonderful.
Yeah, I've just put it on the chat. Yeah. Can we have the next question, please?
If you could ask Anjuman Diodar, would you want to ask the person to come online to ask the question, or do I read out the question here?
Okay, I've unmuted him. Anjuman, can you speak? Anjuman, are you there? Dinesh, I think you can read his question.
Okay. Anjuman wants to ask, your images are like wonderful stories, but could you please share your thought process? You've done that. If you could, just talk in specific about the 3 books per se. I think it's a short answer required only since you've.
I lived in Bombay. Okay, so that is the obvious choice to do. Like you're shooting the city that you're living in. So there you go. You just did pictures around you, and you eventually realize, okay, you have now a big collection of images which can be made into book. And I said Bollywood because we are breathing Bollywood sitting in Bombay. So every newspapers and magazines and TV and everywhere you have Bollywood. So it's obviously again a part of Bombay. If you're growing up and decaying in Bombay, so Bollywood is part of you. So it's not a much of an effort to go and think about it. So it's just natural that these 2 subjects would work on me. Again, the taxi project, which is again very Bombay centric.
And it's had to do with your own life. If I may just move on to Mrinmoy Das.
Yeah, you can read his question.
Fawzan seems to have got frozen.
Yeah.
Fawzan, is it?
Man, can you hear?
Maybe his internet connection probably is weak.
Maybe someone needs to make a phone call to him.
I'll just do it.
Might be a buffering issue, no?
Maybe his internet issue, I guess.
Fawzan, are you there?
Can we switch up?
Maybe he's playing statue with someone.
No, but he can't even hear at the moment.
Shall we switch off our videos?
Hi, Amit.
He's back. Yeah.
He's mute. Vinay, he's mute.
Okay, I'm back.
Fawzan, are you back?
Yes.
All right. If I can ask the next question from Anjuman Diodar. No, I'm sorry, I'm repeating myself. So it's Mrinmoy Das. After deciding on a topic for a book, how do you select the photos and arrange them in the books to make a complete story?
The most difficult part in doing a book is the editing part. Okay, and if you're short 25 years, you have tons of work on that. Okay, now how do you want it to come in a 300-page book? Okay, now you really need to understand the journey. Like I grew up in Bombay Central. Okay, so what were the things around me? I started putting out pictures around. Then my work experience. I used to travel to work. Okay, what all I came across in my work? The travel park, crossing of railways, the eating joint, blah blah blah. Then my marriage, then my kids, my vanvas to Goregaon. So all that were part of my book.
Okay, but within the book, how do you sequence the photographs? What do you decide how the entire story unfolds? What the photograph should be in, what should not be in?
Okay, the book had 3 sections. One was the early 90s, the millennium, the early 80s, 90s, and the millennium. They were segregated into 3 sections, dividing into 25 years. The section was divided into 25 years. So, like you saw the Sachin Tendulkar image. That was his first contract when he turned 18. So those are the pictures that I did for Midday. And Sachin became such a big hit now. So I could take that book picture because Sachin is Bombay and Bombay is Sachin. So you think all this when you're sitting to edit the book. How relevant is that subject to the city of Bombay? And then you pick up those and you go like I also have Vinod Kamli. But now do I take Vinod Kamli? I can't because Sachin obviously overshadows him. So you include Sachin's picture and you don't take Vinod Kamli. So you need to sit and understand what is the flow, what can be the flow, and what is relevant today to the city. And accordingly, you will put in those pictures. Okay.
Here's another question from Kevin Mystery, which I would imagine a lot of young photographers would also want you to answer. What message would you want to give to a young photographer like me who wants to do some photo series?
Yeah, the Kevin is online.
Question, do you want to ask it yourself?
Yes.
Hi, Kevin.
Hello, sir.
Hi, Kevin. Tell me.
So actually, hello, sir. I want to do some photo series for my own. So I don't know how to start. So can you give me some brief about that, so that
Oh, no,
I
what
can
do you want
start
to start working
on my
on?
own?
Kevin, I want to know
So
what
actually,
to start working on.
I'm I have thought of different subjects regarding some portrait series. So I want to know about how to start
No, Kevin,
that series.
let me tell you, you need to understand what appeals to you. Very important. Okay. I cannot tell
Yeah.
you, okay, go
Okay,
and shoot
sir.
this. That will not be your project. That will be my project. Okay. So you need to first I'll give you one small example. One student of mine who would not come to my class, and he kept skipping the class. So I called him and asked him, why are you not coming to the class? He said, sir, my grandfather is seriously ill and I cannot leave him. And he unfortunately he died now. So he was father's having cancer. So I said, why don't you just start shooting your grandfather in your own house? Okay, you are there, the subject is there, and he started shooting pictures of his grandfather. And that subject and the pictures came out so well because it's just a situation that I told him, because you need to tell me something about you and your life, which I can, obviously I can sit with you and understand and tell you, okay, this is what you can do. But the thought has to come from you. I cannot tell you, okay. So you need to understand what appeals to you, what is going around in your life.
So actually, I have thought about the photo series about this people who are working
That is
around
something.
us.
May I interrupt here? If you want to discuss that further, I think the question has been answered fundamentally. If you want to go into any particulars, maybe Fawzan can take you offline later and she can answer you.
You can call me.
Okay.
Call me.
Okay, sir.
You have my.
Ranu Jain, would you like to ask your question? Is Ranu Jain here?
We'll just try to get it. Just hold on.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm really enjoying this presentation. My question was that if an aspiring photographer wants to self-publish but don't have access to corporates like you did, what other avenues he or she could tap into?
See, corporate, as I said earlier, take care of your printing cost when you're looking at a huge run. But if you're looking at a small run, then you don't need corporates. You can always sell on demand or online. Like somebody, Amit Mehra has already sold 80-100 books on online. And I'm saying, in my case, it is because it's a huge investment. It's a huge run. Okay, I'm printing around 2,000, 3,000 copies. So I need that much money. So that's why I knock on the doors of the corporate. Otherwise, if I was to print 10 copies, 15 copies, 100 copies, I think one can be able to do it and can be able to sell it through your close contacts, through online, to crowdfunding. There are other means which I haven't explored because I'm not into digital at all. I would still go and meet somebody rather than talk on the phone. Like somebody says, okay, what's your project? I would say I will come and talk to you. So, these days you can always tap a lot of resources which are online, but I'll not be the right to guide you how to do it online.
Sure, thank you.
I still am following the old school of thought.
Okay, there's a question from Roshan Abbas, if the person's here online right now. Roshan Abbas. The question is suggestions for young documentary photographers who are still starting.
Yeah, Roshan is there. Roshan is there. I'm sorry.
Oh, is there?
Roshan.
Okay.
Roshan?
Okay, I've got my windows open now, right? too much
Okay,
sophistication.
Dinesh, let me continue. I'm sorry. I think he has some audio issues.
For that, Roshan wants to know, which I would imagine a lot of young photographers want to know. So how does the young photographer start off in this field of documentary photography? Is that your question, Roshan? I can see.
Yes, exactly. That was my question.
Okay, thank you. Fawzan, over to you.
How do you start?
As a documentary photographer, what are your options? What are your avenues? What should they think of?
No, first thing is, does documentary appeal to you?
Yes, it does.
Hello? Does it appeal to you?
Yes, it does. As a matter of fact, looking at photographers, it actually appeals me. Am I audible enough?
No,
Very
not
much.
very clear. Please come back. Come again, please.
Actually, looking upon the work that photographers have put together in the last 7 or 8 decades, actually appeals me so much that I myself want to document these things.
Okay, now the second question that I would like to ask you, will you be able to sustain yourself without any income doing documentary photography?
That was my question.
1,000 rupee
How
question.
to get this thing sorted with like work and photography on the go. Like you'll be sustaining yourself with a stable income, and you can be working.
Yeah, if you have sorted that out, that where you don't need immediate income from documentary photography, okay? I mean immediate income to run your house, to run yourself. Okay, if you have a parallel source of income, if you have somebody backing, like I have my wife now who backs me. So if you have somebody backing you, in that sense, you can easily do photography. But if there's a pressure on you to shoot and earn, then only doing documentary is not going to help you guys. Okay, so now, like for last maybe 28 years, I never shot a wedding. But I have started picking 1, 2 in a year. I enjoy doing 2, 3 weddings in a year, and that really helps me. Buy new equipment. Look at things very differently and invest in a lot of things which I otherwise cannot. So I take a wedding in a documentary style. I try to shoot, and I tell my client that this is a very different way of looking at it. And I may not get many of them, maybe 2 or 3 in a year, but I that helps me, upgrade my equipment and a lot of things. Also help me travel. So you need to understand what you can do. If you need the money, from the documentary photography, then I would say it won't. You need to balance it.
The balance is important.
Yeah, balance is very important. I don't know what are you into.
I think Roshan should get married first.
Can we move on?
Yeah, okay. I think Dinesh has got signed out. We're trying to get in. Till that, I'll just ask you a question that is from an email. That's from the question is from Sailesh Rawal. Can you hear me?
Somebody's mic got.
Okay, somebody who just asked a question. I'm going to mute everybody again. I'm sorry. Okay. Okay, can you hear me, Fawzan?
I can hear you.
Okay, so there's a question from Sailesh Rawal from India Today.
Yes.
He asked a question in. Sorry.
We work together.
Yeah. So he has sent a mail saying social media का दौर चल रहा है, हर घंटे टेक्नोलॉजी बदल रही है, लोग जो लोग समझदार हैं, शिक्षित हैं, उनका तो काम चल रहा है, लेकिन हम जैसे कुछ पुराने प्रोफेशनल फोटोग्राफर्स को इस फील्ड में टिके रहने के लिए क्या करना चाहिए?
अच्छा, is he referring to the technology advance in the camera equipment and all that?
No, he's referring to social media. He said social media.
Social media. Oh, no. So I am in the same boat like he is.
Okay.
Okay. I want to ask a question.
Bowman sir wants
I'd like to say something. just to kind of put into perspective what each photographer where we've had over the last few days and how they think and how different they are, how varied they are, and at the same time, how similar each and every one of us are really. And today, through Fawzan's work, and I'm full of admiration as always. But something that through the questions, I came upon this thought just to put it and channelize these thoughts together. That all the questions that were asked, Fawzan's answers were, "But do you like documentary and freelance photography? What about the kid whose grandfather was ill?" Eventually, all the great movies that we've seen, all the great photographs that we've seen, everything has to be personal. Fawzan made it so amazingly clear to me when he said that I went to do Banwas, and that's why I had to travel by train, and that led me to my train series. Because I'm a Mumbaikar, I'm a Bombayite, Bollywood is so close to my heart, I had to do a series on Bollywood. So eventually, I think the big secret and the big treasure is a very simple answer. If it's not personal, you're just barking up the wrong tree. If it's personal, you will find gold. And that gold eventually will get published somewhere through a lot of obstacles and through a lot of difficulty. But it will get published or it will find its place in this world. But the key to it is not just necessarily technique or lighting or composition. It is something that comes from you personally. Star Wars is a very personal film. It may be about drama and space, but was very personal to George Lucas. So are all of Steven Spielberg's films. So I was watching a film called The English Patient. He says, I've never been to Africa before, never been part of World War I or whatever else, but I can see myself in every frame of how I would react. The director was talking about, Anthony Minghella. So the thing that I learned from Fawzan is that you don't pick on something because it's trending or it's going viral. You pick on something because it comes from your heart and because it's something that means something to you. So really thank you very much, Fawzan, to putting that so simply into perspective with those simple answers that you gave all of us. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
You just nailed it. You just nailed it.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah. Every project has to be personal. I personally believe it has to be personal.
Personal makes honest.
Yeah, we can go on for about 5 more minutes. I think we've crossed our time. If Fawzan, we can quickly wrap this here. Any more questions?
Vinay, there is a question from.
I have a flight at 9. I have time.
Vinay, there's a question on Facebook Live. Fawzan sir, this question is from Sagarnil Biswas. Would like to know if any of your favorite pictures that didn't make it to the books and why. Any picture didn't make it to the books. Yes, didn't make it to the books.
Yeah. There was one picture which I immensely liked, which was shot at Churchgate in the morning when the crowd comes out, and I shot it on a slow shutter speed. So you have all these people, going like a stream, It looks as if people are streaming out in a slow shutter speed. The trains are static, the people are not. But I shot that picture before Raghu Rai did, but he published it before me. So that it would have been very, very copy, And, when I saw that picture, I said, oh shit, his book came out before me. So I had to keep that. And again, there were a few instances of Ganesh.
All my pictures have been shot before, and then Raghu Rai went and published them, and that's why I couldn't publish anything. My whole career.
He's coming on 1st April, so we'll get you face to face.
And one more thing I want to say. You keep saying, I made a dummy. You're so right. You made a big dummy out of all those publishers. You made dummies out of the goddamn publishers, and good for you, man. Good for you.
There's another question from Sharon Singh. She wants to ask, I'm a fresher in the industry. What tips will you give to the people who are recently starting out as photojournalists and photo editors?
Photojournalists, I can say. Photo editors, I cannot. my one discipline to myself is I have to shoot once in a week, irrespective of weather, irrespective of my health. I have to go out and shoot once in a week, whatever it could be. It's just like keeping my camera, oiling karke rakhna padta hai. So I am disciplined in that way. So to anybody and everybody out there, I would say just bring in that discipline of shooting something. Don't look for subjects, don't look for particular situations. Just step out and enjoy. Just step out and shoot. Maybe 1 year down the line, you would see a common thread running in those pictures, and maybe it becomes a story. You could just be taking your dog out in the evening and shooting your dog along with other dogs and their reactions, and they are the owners of the dogs. Anything could be anything. It can just make a beautiful pictures. So there's no dearth of stories sitting in Bombay or anywhere else. It's just that you need to bring a discipline where you can start shooting. The half the students of mine, they're just waiting for the subject. He said, subject batao mere ko, subject batao. I said, yeah, you think about it. Why are you telling me to think about it? Why can't you think about what works in if you go back to your town, if you go back to your village, if you go back to wherever you are coming from, look around, just open your eyes and see what is working out around you, and you just have to just document that, and don't think that subjects are all over you and you cannot see it. It will eventually it will evolve. You will grow. You gradually start growing on that subject. One day if you go out, you will not see things. Maybe your second day you might be able to see, and then things fall in places. So don't wait for a particular subject to come out. Just go start doing pictures. I'm sure within a month you'll see, okay, this is something which can be followed on. And if you still don't, come with your pictures to me. Let's sit together, okay? And I will promise that I will see some story coming out of those pictures.
Fawzan, a lot of people. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Amit. Just for a second, a lot of people have written. How do they connect with you to show their images to you? Is there a way that they can come to you or email you? Can we share it?
No email, because I don't believe in seeing the pictures on email and then sending my comments on email. No, you have to come with your pictures. We'll see. I will talk and understand why the hell have you shot that picture. And if you tell me that this is the reason, then I have to understand you. I have to hear you, and then you have to hear me. All this email business will not work. I'm going to share the numbers. You please give them my numbers.
Okay.
They can call me. I will certainly make time for them. If I'm at my farm, then they have to wait for me to come back to Bombay.
So there's a question from Jameson Saharia. And it's an interesting question. So I thought, let me just put it forward to you. How can I get started on or work on a sensitive topic such as prostitution, transgender, and so on?
Okay, let me give you my personal example. I went to Kamadipura, Bombay's red light area, and my wife was expecting. Okay, and I went to shoot for an assignment at that point of time. And since my wife, since we were expecting our first child, I started looking at children in Kamadipura. Okay, and I said, my God, like subconsciously you attracted to children everywhere, and why not Kamadipura? I spent 6 months going to Kamadipura without shooting a picture, but just observing the children. Okay, and then I did a project on children of Kamadipura. Okay, so this is again, like it just subconsciously something triggers in me, and I said, wow, these children are so different. Like for example, we want our children to come back in the night, in the home. In Kamadipura, children are sent out in the night. If you go out in the night, just small example I'm giving you. So I looked at all these aspects of children in Kamadipura because I was going to be a father. Okay, so that's it. So there's no impetus which will click like a bell. Okay, chalo, bell baj gaya, chalo kaam pe lag jao. No. Please think about it. What emotions are coming out from you? Can you relate those emotions to the images? And red light area is not easy to shoot. You need to spend time. 6 months, I didn't shoot a single picture. I didn't even carry my camera. I just wanted to be seen there. I just wanted people to accept me in that area. Okay, and they thought I'm one of the NGO guys. Fine. Then I gradually started taking cameras and started shooting children. If you have patience, you can. You just can't land up on day one and start shooting. You will do it. So take your time.
That's Jemison there for you on the video.
Hello, sir. Hello, sir. Can you hear me? Hello.
Yeah, Jemison. Everybody can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. So, sir, the second question is there any NGO or any group or organization who will help me to fund my own personal documentary project?
Fund your what?
Fund my own documentary project.
Any NGO which will help him fund his.
Before you start your work, don't ask for funds. Okay, make a small body of work which can be shown around. Okay, you need to do some basic work, like how I made a dummy to show around. You need to do some basic work, and then you can approach the NGO. But don't expect that just by virtual talk and verbal talk you'll be able to get funding, And I don't promise any funding because I have never gone for one. But I'm sure if the subject is something which is liking to somebody or some NGO, they might want to, But that's the question mark which should come. That answer should come much later, not before you start a project.
Thank you, sir.
Fawzan, there's a question from Prakash Silokani. Prakash,
Hey, Fawzan. Okay, so you have got daughters. So you found subject called legs. What if you had got boys?
I don't know.
Pegs.
Maybe pants, maybe I don't know. I haven't experienced that. So I have got twin daughters, so I have experience there that at that point of time, that thing. Maybe with boys I would have had something else. I don't know.
But there's a suggestion from Baman that is eggs.
Pegs.
Eggs.
Peg. If you are a Parsi, then it's eggs.
Yeah, good.
There's a question from what do I call him? Whether I should call him your protege, your shagir, your partner. Yogesh Chiplunkar wants to ask, where do you see yourself 10 years from here?
At my farm, sipping beer.
You know what? 10 years from now, we just hope you learn how to use the email.
Okay. Over to you, Dinesh. Dinesh, anything that you would want to add, ask the panelists?
I can see Tarun there. Tarun, do you want to ask a question? Have you been around?
But yeah. So I just, he's answered most of the things. I just wanted to ask one small thing is that, in earlier days, there were publishers, those who would, spend some money, publish a book, do little advertising for your book maybe. And, because of the publisher, the book can travel all over the world. Now, that was one channel of doing things. The other one now is that, there's digital medium, and maybe you can sell your books online and, you can still reach the world. Do you see advantage, disadvantage? And I mean, they both have their own advantages and disadvantages. Do you see any problem in doing your publishing now? Or do you feel that just because that channel is closed, I can't reach to the whole world? Because I'm saying you can, but I don't know whether you've tried doing that, because otherwise, there could be a chance that you're only selling your books only in India, only through word of mouth. How do you see this?
Yeah, Tarun, I fully agree with you here. I tried my best to sell my books in Dubai, because Dubai is supposed to be the hub, and from there it can go to all across the Middle East. But I have not succeeded in doing that for the simple reason is the cost of transport is going to kill me. Okay, so I was advised that I should print the book in Dubai itself, but the numbers were not there, for me to go there and print another edition of say around 1,000 or 2,000 copies to make it viable. I didn't have the numbers. Okay, so the guy who wanted copies from me wanted 200 copies, so it was not becoming viable. And I told him, can I send this book, parts of this book cost? So So even that costing was not working out. So you are very right. Not having a publisher and a print and a distributor is not letting my book go out of India. I fully agree with you that
Yeah, because you have
which are
some really amazing, breathtaking work. It talks about your personal life. It's so touching, so deep. And then, sadly, if it's only reaching very few people, I don't know. I think you should seriously think about doing ebooks so that they can travel far. Actually, people can buy it online, and there's no need for you to just ship them.
Okay. Okay. So who are these people who? Okay, let me call you up. We can talk on this. And I've seriously not thought about it because, as I told you, I don't. My thoda deja tara kharab hai mera. But I can certainly look into this e-book you said now. So we can do that, yeah. And if you can help me put it on to the right guy, which I don't mind. Seriously, I don't mind.
Well, this is a new medium. Like, we are all exploring how to see. As an artist, every artist wants to reach to maximum people. First, they look into the cities, and then they're into the countries, and then internationally. So I'm saying, if something which you can think of, if something comes to my mind, or I can explore something like that. I've not worked on my book as yet, but I'll surely share it with you. But I think such beautiful work should travel all over the world, in whichever form it can, actually.
Okay. Point taken. We can work on it.
Anybody who has to add anything to this? Any of the panelists who are here?
Yeah, Fawzan bhai.
कौन है भाई?
Amit Mehra.
हाँ भाई. बोलो भैया.
Fawzan bhai, it's one thing, huh? वो दिनेश ने बहुत बड़ा तुम्हारा बायो बताया, ये नहीं बताया कि तुम दोस्तों के हबशी हलवा भी लेके जाते हो.
वेबसाइट पे नहीं लिखा ना.
तो फौजान भाई, बहुत दिन हो गए.
तुम आओ ना यार.
वो तो तुम लेकर आते हो.
नहीं, तुम आओ फिर भी देखेंगे यार.
चलो डन. वैसे ये भी हुआ है कि मैं फौजान के घर गया एक बार, और मैं जब चल रहा था तो फौजान ने उससे पहले अपने असिस्टेंट को बोला नीचे से हबशी हलवा लिया, तो चलते हुए भी एक पार्सल साथ में था.
Okay, there's an interesting comment.
तू यार ये सब बात दूसरे को मत बता दे यार.
Renu Mittal has said that let's move away from subjects of books, publishing, printing, and marketing. To Renu, I wanted to just tell her that this is what Fawzan actually wanted to talk about in his particular speech and talk today. But if you want to come online and ask what else you would like to know, can we get Renu online, please?
Yeah, just give me a second. Yeah, Renu. Renu, we can hear you.
Hello, hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hi, Fawzan.
Hi, Renu. How are you?
Really good to see you after a long time.
Yeah,
I wanted to know more about your conflict photography that you used to do earlier. Now I don't see much work on that.
I'm married now.
More conflict, isn't it?
Now the conflict is only at home.
No, seriously, about your war and I mean, so much of going on in the country.
Renu, this today's subject was about the books, So.
Okay. Oh, I didn't know that.
About the book part.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't know that.
And you can take me out and we can talk about it.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Okay, Kanishka has an interesting question if you want to bring Kanishka online.
Yeah. Kanishka. Hi, Kanishka.
The question is, have you ever hit a mental block while working on subjects, and how do you work around it?
Mental block things? No. I don't get a mental block. Not at all. Never. Kanishka, there's no question of mental block because, if I went to some 82 sets on the film, and every day when I was allowed to be on the set, I was charged. I would look for some pictures that would have a different take to it. So there's no question of mental block at all. No. For last 1 week, I've stepped out 3 times shooting the empty streets, and every time I see something new in that, and every time the lighting changes, the people are changing, the people are still there, not there. It's a different. There's nothing of that sort. Nothing of that.
So I wanted to ask, basically, see somebody like me who's actually spending about 40, 45 days, maybe 100 days on a shoot. Yeah. After a few days, you just stop looking at, stop noticing things. It becomes a very mundane, regular scenario. Yeah. Every morning I get up, it becomes a job, yeah, to go and shoot and see the same faces. And after some time, you just stop noticing certain aspects, or the newness or the most exciting things about it, and you end up missing a lot of shots. Yeah. How if this kind of situation arises, how do you work around the
Okay, I can
trying to
agree with you, because you are doing one film at a time. Correct?
Yeah.
That could
Yeah.
be a problem. In my case, I never went to the same set again. Okay, but in your case, it can possibly happen that there's a block after having been on the same set with the same people for such a long period of time. Okay, my advice would be take a break. If it allows you to, if you can pitch in somebody else to do the project in your place, just take a 2-day break. You'll go with a lot of new energy and a lot of fresh mind. But I don't know whether the director would allow you, first of all, to take a break and allow somebody else to be put in your place. If that cannot be worked out, then you are problem.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you one thing. I did one project for Subhash Ghai, where only project where I was paid to be on the sets. When he saw my work, he said, "Please do some pictures for me, and I will take those." And I told him, I will not come every day. I will only come for 2-3 days. I'll take a break, send somebody else. Again, I'll come back. And he agreed to it. So I can imagine if I go on an everyday basis, I will get a mental block. But I get it very clear that I cannot come. I will take a break in between, because it's possible that I would get a mental block. But I avoided by doing that, and I used to take a break between 3 days, 2 days, 3 days. I would take a break.
Yeah, and
So
also
if
one more.
that can be worked out. You'll be really in a better frame of mind the next time you step on the sets, and you can be very frank to the editor or director about it. This is the problem. We can put, and I hired another photographer to go on the sets in place of me.
Yeah. So one more thing. Now, when you're working on your personal projects like Kali Pili or something like that, the reason your projects are take so long to finish is to avoid this mental block, or you are just letting it organically happen?
See, I'm working on a lot of things simultaneously. Okay, so it's not like I'm working also on my Bora community. Not that I follow that community, but I'm shooting the community. So simultaneously, even that is happening. If something is happening, I travel, I go and shoot. So at any given time, there are a lot of things happening with me. Plus my farm, which takes 2-3 days away from my life. I have to shoot there also, I have to work there also. So it's like a lot of things happening at a time. So obviously, and there's no pressure on me. I have to finish certain things at a certain time. The pressure is never there. So I take it a little easy. I try and work at my own pace, and I think I can only work that way. I can do assignments in a day or two, but I cannot do projects in a month or two. I need time. It's the frame of mind which I developed over a period of years.
Yes.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Ganesh.
sir, and see you on your farm.
No seeing me on the farm.
This is one last question I'm going to ask from Facebook Live. It's from Pranav Dev. And he asked, since there was a mention of assistant, what does an assistant actually do in terms of documentary photography?
Assistant?
Yeah, so I think there must have been some talk about assistant as a photographer to a documentary photographer. So that's where...
Amit just mentioned that your assistant brought up the halwa. I think that's the reference. Which is
I had mentioned that I was assisting Fawzan during his shoot in
Ahmedabad
Gujarat,
shoot.
and the payment is still pending.
Who's this person? Yeah, who's this person?
So he's Pranav Dev, and
No. Who's person asking for payment.
Vinay.
Don't know him.
Okay, guys.
Okay, I have a question, Fawzan.
There's no such thing as assistant.
Who's this?
It's like a tiger. You go alone, you do pictures alone. You hunt
Ashit
alone.
has a question. Ashit has a question.
So, Fawzan, isn't it important to be a little active on social media? Since I think Saurabh mentioned that he's managed to sell quite a few books on his own website. So, wouldn't you think that would help you kind of reach to a larger number and connect with a larger audience?
I agree. Every human being has some drawback. This
You have
online
time.
and so.
Now you have time for to learn that or indulge in that. Okay.
No, yeah, I'm really handicapped. I really get scared. Only thing I do is I download my images and I see them. That's it. I don't do correction. I don't know Photoshop. I don't know any damn thing. So the only thing I see the pictures, I select my pictures. That's it. After that, somebody takes over. Some professional takes over. Because I don't. The problem is I don't want to spend time on the monitor in front of the monitor. I would rather step out and do pictures than spend that much time doing Photoshop and this and that and all that. So I may be very backward.
I
just got to know you're not on Instagram. I was trying to tag you there.
Sorry.
Sorry. I didn't see you, sir.
No. For that, it just reminded me what you were saying just now, what Amit Mehra and I were talking in the morning, about how you are very much a prime lens photographer and you don't even look at zooms. You want to say a couple of words for that? Because I find a lot of young photographers finding that very confusing, that how much, classical do they need to be in terms of their approach, in terms of their equipment, in terms of their vision. I think to conclude, if you could just say a few things about that.
Yeah, the biggest disadvantage this camera companies are doing to all the upcoming photographers is by giving them a kit lens. Okay, that kit lens is the first thing that you should throw it out. I would suggest, because invariably, even in my class, in all the 3 schools that I teach, 99% times students come shooting only with wide angle. Whether you need a wide angle or you don't need a wide angle, because the lens is wide angle, is the kit lens, you end up shooting only wide angle pictures. Okay, so your perspective is seeing everything like this. You don't narrow it down. No, you don't narrow it down further. So that this camera companies, in order to sell cameras, they're giving you kit lens, which is the biggest disservice they're doing to the community of photographers. Okay, I tell my students, please, if you can't afford a fixed lens, okay, at least don't shoot everything on wide angle. You don't need to look at everything at a wide angle. Okay? And I keep telling this, so if you can, please invest in a 50 mm. You need to think about a shot. You can't let camera capture every damn thing which is not required. So my simple advice is, if you buy a camera, you should have enough money to buy a prime lens. If not 3-4 lenses, at least one to begin with. Keep your kit lens in your bag. Use it only in extreme cases, but try and shoot prime lens, because all this 35 or 36 years I've been shooting with prime lenses. I never have either kit or zoom or semi-zoom or whatever. Because for me personally, I see something on the street and I decide what lens should go on that. And then I accordingly very quickly try and fix that lens and shoot. So that's the way I operate. But it may not be applicable to everybody. But that's my advice. If you start thinking about a picture before you shoot, okay, that makes a lot of difference. Don't come back and start composing and cropping later. Because your thought process is, while you're on the job, you should be able to know exactly what you want in the frame.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Thank you, Fawzan. It was amazing.
Thank you, Fawzan. Lovely, sir. Lovely. Everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Fawzan. Thank you so much for all the panelists who have been with us patiently. Thank you.
One thing I want to say, just one thing I wanted to say is that the way Fawzan was explaining everything, and for the newcomers, I've got a takeaway today. The newcomers is that when you're starting your career, first get married, get a wife who can fund your project, and then start photography. Good one, good one. Fantastic work.
Tarun, you are such a sweet fellow.
Tarun, that's why I didn't do other 3 marriages.
Good one. Fantastic work. Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Thank
may
you.
I say one thing, please? It's please make it a point to go onto YouTube, search for Fawzan's TEDx talk, listen to that not once. I'm sure you'll want to listen to it again. I'm going to do that for the 3rd time. Make sure you listen to it. It'll give you a great sense of what it means to be, like what Bowman very beautifully explained. When things come from your heart, you see the world the way you see it, not how your camera sees it, not how your camera sees it. See the world from your own mind and from your heart, and then use photography to express about it. That's all I would like to say in conclusion. Thank you for that.
Thank you so much.